welcome to Teletalk. I'm Liv.
And I'm Ben.
And on this episode, you'll hear our carefully considered and not at all random thoughts on a show we like. There will be spoilers.
We're giving ourselves an age rating of 15 and above, but you're welcome to make up your own mind. Listener discretion is advised.
And if you're enjoying listening to our podcast, we really ask you if you could rate, review and subscribe. It really means a lot to us.
And you can contact us on our socials. We're at TeletalkPod on both Blue Sky and Facebook. And you can email us at teletalkpod@outlook.com.
So this time we are recapping Season 1, Episode 5 of Gavin and Stacey.
Oh. This is why I don't do that very often. I've got an episode description for you. Would you like to hear it?
Yes, I would love to hear it, thank you.
The episode description is as follows. Stacey has her hen night, and Gavin has 2 stag nights, the second of which reveals something about Stacey that could jeopardise the whole wedding.
Dun, dun, dun.
And it's not just her personality.
Rude.
Accurate.
So, the opening scene, we have Gavin and Stacey on the phone.
Just for a change.
And what I thought was interesting about this is that Stacey's doing her nails. She's clearly at work. She's in the office. Firstly, she's on a private call. Secondly, she's doing her nails. She is not working.
I think it's outrageous and entirely in character. What?
That's nothing. I mean,
Stacey takes the ever-loving piss in every aspect of her life.
I just think that if you can, why not?
I mean, for a great many reasons. Professional pride, basic human decency.
But if she's really good at her job and she's done everything that she needed to do, then, you know, she's there in case the... Well, I was going to say in case the phone rings, but she's on the phone.
What about Stacey makes you think that she's good at her job and has got everything done?
Well, the fact that she's on the phone on a personal call and she's doing her nails.
I think she's just a horrendous waste of space.
Okay, that is really mean.
Yep.
No, poor Stacey.
Yeah, but to be fair, you're talking about a woman who spends the majority of the conversation being completely hypocritical and forcing her fiancé to say out loud in his office that he will not sleep with a lap dancer.
Yeah, to be fair, he does say that really loudly. Poor Carol.
Yeah, who's Carol?
I know, Stacey panics, doesn't she?
No, she's just being hypocritical and jealous.
She's not being hypocritical at this point. Anyway, so they are talking about their stag and hen do's, and yeah, Gavin has to promise that he won't have sex with a lap dancer. I thought that was quite cute in that moment.
No, he just has to pander to her. But I did enjoy that he ended the phone conversation by saying, if you can't get through to me, I'm probably having sex with a lap dancer.
Yeah, that's what I mean. He understands that she's got this insecurity. He has sort of pandered to it / met her need there. And then he's able to make a joke about it.
I still think she's insufferable.
Yeah.
This episode does nothing to dissuade me from that opinion.
Okay. So then we move on to Pam and Mick getting ready for Gavin's stag do number 1.
First thing I thought was, ooh, she's had her hair done. It's very poofy.
Oh, I hadn't noticed it. I thought it did look nice.
It was all poofed out and like had a lot of volume.
Yes, she's had a blow dry, hasn't she?
Is that what that is?
Yeah, yes.
Sure.
I liked that Pam is singing to herself as she's laying food out on the dining table. And then Mick joins in. I thought that was so romantic.
It was really sweet. We do that all the time.
Yeah.
Just go with it.
Okay, we do that all the time. All the time.
All the time. We never stop singing. Actually, you never stop singing.
It's not good stuff, though. It's just I'm singing about my life.
It says a lot that our children regularly tell you to stop.
I know. Okay.
But what was interesting was, did you notice that when all the boys started to arrive, Pam checks herself in a mirror, pushes her boobs up and everything? She really wanted to make sure she got flirted with.
Yeah, she likes that attention, doesn't she?
Yeah, and Smithy doesn't half provide it.
I know. But prior to that, she gets quite a lot of attention from Mick.
Yes, she does.
Yeah, they are flirting, referring to their evening together the night before.
If you'll pardon my questioning here, When he gives her the Camilla line,
Yeah.
is she dropping down to pull his trousers down?
No, she's going weak at the knees.
Oh, because she, like, proper dropped down, then shot back up again when Gavin arrived.
Yeah, no, she was just, I think she was swooning.
Oh, okay, fair enough.
That's my take on it, anyhow.
Okay,
I didn't think it was anything beyond that. She knows a whole group of lads are about to arrive.
But she's overwhelmed by the Camilla scenario.
Yes, weak at the knees and swooning. She's providing Mick what he likes to get out of that situation. No, stop it. In an innocent way. She's rewarding him for flirting with her by swooning. Oh.
You want to have another try?
It stayed appropriate at all times. I have no other way of wording it, but I think your head's in the gutter. And it really shouldn't be there. This was very innocent.
Anyway, the rest of the boys arrive for the stag do, and it's all lads. And there's the aforementioned flirting between Smithy and Pam. And it's all a case of just trying to make sure that they're all prepped and ready. And we get the first ever experience of Chinese Alan's catchphrase in the wild.
Yeah, we do, because he comes in. This is the first time we've seen him, isn't it?
Yes.
So I don't know. I am sort of expecting a person of Chinese origin to arrive, and he does not. We have a white British man.
Which, to be fair, it seems in keeping, really.
Yeah, it does.
I saw someone asked, do you think he's always late to everything?
Yeah.
And the answer is unequivocally yes. If you're going to have that nickname and that catchphrase, you just have to be late to everything just so you can announce yourself like that.
Because he comes in and he goes, anyone order a Chinese?
Way!
Yeah, the lads go for it, don't they? I thought that there is a lot of friends here. Like, this is a big group.
There's only like 10 of them.
Well, it seems like more than that when they're listing all the names.
I'm sure Pam listed off that there was like 9 of them.
Okay, well, I think that's a big group.
I mean, you might just be speaking about your friendship group. Maybe you're just not
Right?
popular.
Oh my god, Harsh.
To be fair, I didn't have that many people on my stag do.
I mean, I guess this is the stereotypical stag and hen that you would see where the people have loads of friends.
Yeah.
But it just, I don't know, I just kept hearing all the names, seeing all the people going on. This is a lot.
Yeah, it was a lot, but maybe by normal people's standards it wasn't. Maybe you and I are just sheltered.
Maybe this is the difference between getting married in your 20s and getting married in your 30s.
Well, there is that, yeah. But they sort of then cut to quite a different scene, which is Nessa and Stacey talking about pregnancy tests.
Yeah, because Nessa is explaining that there weren't any doctor's appointments, and she does not want to buy a home test because they're expensive.
I don't remember them being that expensive.
You can get really cheap ones, and you can get very expensive ones. And I think it was just a plot device at this point for her to not actually know, because she spends this hen do drinking alcohol.
Yes, and she states very clearly that that is her intention, along with getting a kebab.
Yeah, and Stacey says, "You're such a good friend."
Yeah, while also at the same time continuing to be insufferable by, like, badgering her with, like, what if it's Smithy's? What about this? Can I be the godmother?
I thought it was quite nice.
Of course you did. I found it insufferable. And then we move on to the stag and hen do's. We cut in between each one as a large part of the rest of the episode continues. And there's sort of quite different starts for each one.
Different starts, what do you mean?
Well, the boys are all queuing outside a club.
Lads.
Yes, and then having, I'm going to say, problematic banter.
Yes.
About women, because of course.
Yeah, it was very much, I don't know if it's just of the time or if airing it on TV was of the time.
Yeah, it wasn't great. But they queue until they get told, no stag do's, and then they're ushered off.
Yeah, and everyone's like booing Smithy for not pre-planning and getting it all sorted ahead of time of where they could go.
But ultimately, that's Gavin's fault, because you get what you chose when you asked Smithy to be your best man.
And Smithy brushes it off, which I thought was quite good, actually, given his propensity to have tantrums. But he brushes it off and says it's all part of the stag experience.
I think the interesting thing is this probably illustrates that Smithy knows who he can tantrum at and who he can't. And so if he tantrums at the lads, they're not going to have it, whereas Gavin will roll over and take it.
I don't think that's entirely fair because he has a massive tantrum with all of the lads later on in the episode.
No, he doesn't. He has it at two very specific members of the group, and the rest kind of just go leave them to it.
No, I disagree. We'll cover that later then.
But that is interspersed with the girls straight in the club.
Yeah.
And speaking of problematic banter, the girls are talking about the under-21 rugby team that are in there and sort of their antics with them. And I just thought, if that was reversed and it was the lads talking about an under-21 girls rugby team or something like that, that would not be seen as quite as funny.
Right. Here's the thing, though. This is a young group of women. They are in their early 20s. And under 21s doesn't mean underage. It means over 18, because it's a club, and under 21.
I know. It had a bit of the Smithies and the Lucys about it to me.
Yeah, well, I mean, there is an age discrepancy here, but I'm just saying I don't think it's as dodgy as it now feels this many years later, with our ages having moved on.
Are you suggesting that I'm just an old man?
I just think it's more nuanced and complex.
Fair enough, it has no place here. Let's move on. We get to see Smithy doing the worm.
Do we?
Yeah, he does the worm.
No, he doesn't.
In the middle of all the boys. When we cut to the stag do, there's sort of interspersed of them dancing and everything, and you get to see a few of the lads, one by one, doing dancing in the middle of the circle in the dance floor. One of them is Smithy doing the worm.
I completely missed that.
I did not, because I was paying attention.
Okay, I can't imagine that. I'll have to rewatch it.
Yes, you will, because it is a glorious sight. I was impressed.
I would be too if I'd actually seen it.
What I did see as well was Nessa kissing some randomer.
Yeah. It was a typical club night, wasn't it?
Yes, it looked awful. It was like really bad. Not my thing at all.
What's quite clever here is, as you said, they're both on very different nights out. Obviously, one's in Essex and one's in Cardiff. And yet, you get taken straight back.
You do. Well, I say you do. I was about to agree, but I've never done anything like that. It looks horrific.
I mean, that is just the clubbing experience, or it certainly was in 2008.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay. I mean, I'm trying not to judge, but I am a little.
What?
No, that looks rough.
That was the fun. That's the scene.
You probably had to be drunk.
Oh, yeah, you definitely had to be drunk.
But we cut back from the hen do to the stag do.
I found this whole bit embarrassing. Like, this whole lads scene from this point.
Oh, yeah, this is very laddie and it's pretty grim. I think I'm either too old or just not my scene, but I was like, I don't know who they're pretending to be.
Oh, right, I see what you mean. Because Gavin and Smithy are chatting up a woman pretending that they are famous people.
I think Gavin was just having a laugh. I think Smithy was using it to try it on.
Yes, but it's just awkward.
And it culminates with Smithy trying to kiss the girl, and the girl was not having any of it. Rightly so.
Yeah, like I said, this whole thing was just embarrassing and cringy. And to be honest, I think that's probably why I wasn't paying too much attention. Because I was sort of going, make it stop.
But to be fair, Gavin gets a call on the hypocrisy hotline.
Yeah, I quite like this call. Because Gavin asks her how it's going, and she says, oh, we're having a lovely time. And you think, oh, that's nice. And then she goes, everyone's really shit-faced.
Wonderful. I love that deadpan. Wonderful.
Yeah.
But she's ringing to make sure that he's behaving and he's not, like, kissing any girls or anything.
Yes, and this is where the hypocrisy starts for me.
I started somewhat before that, I think. But yes, because as soon as she hangs up, who arrives on the scene?
PC Love Length.
Don't be fooled. Not a real policeman.
I don't think anyone was going to be fooled.
I don't know. I get the impression he had quite a sizable truncheon with him.
Yes, well, Stacey gets her lap dance and he strips right off.
Oh, yes.
All the way off. Obviously, the audience don't get to see, but Stacey does, and it's right in her face.
And there's whipped cream, I believe.
Yes, she's talking about the whipped cream the next day, isn't she? But Nessa comments. In fact, there's a few comments from some of the girls.
It cannot be real.
And then Nessa says, that is lush. And then we go back to the boys.
Yeah, we enter into this episode's Smithy Tantrum. Boy howdy, is it a good 'un.
Oh my god, Smithy. Calm down.
I suppose in this one, at least, you can see the reason that he's having this tantrum.
I was just going to say that this one had absolutely no reason whatsoever.
Okay, well, let me present to you what I believe the reason behind it is.
Oh, this is going to be good.
Well, no, because he clearly states it. So he says, like, you're gone, you're someone else's now. And then he proceeds to go on about how when his dad got married to his mum, he basically never talked to his best friend again. And so he's placing himself in that position. He's seen what happened to his dad, and evidently his dad's grumbled about it or whatever. So he's manifesting a real fear of losing his best friend. By Smithy standards, that's like genuine reason for getting upset.
I just felt like it came out of nowhere, and it's in front of everyone, and it's just uncalled for.
Oh, it can be that too. Uncalled for and out of the blue does not mean that there's no reason behind it.
He started off by sort of cheering Gavin on, and then he turned it around to be all about himself. And I thought, this is not endearing, Smithy.
None of it's endearing. Are they normally endearing?
I thought the group all turned on Smithy.
Did they?
Yeah, I think so. They kind of go, oh, shut up, Smithy.
Yeah, but there wasn't any strength behind it. Chinese Alan tries to interject, and then he's told to just leave it, stay out of it, by the others. Then Smithy has a go. Then he turns on Jesus.
Yeah.
One of the people is called Jesus.
One of the lads.
Well, yeah, one of the lads is called Jesus. And he has a go at him to sort of deflect. Then flounces off. And then the group turn on Jesus.
Yeah, they do that.
So what I'm basically hearing is that your hot take on this was utterly wrong.
No, because I felt that in the moment. Like, come on, Smithy, get over it.
Well, yeah, but come on, Smithy, get over it is literally everything that Smithy ever does.
Anyway, we then cut to the hens, and the mood is now somewhat sombre, but they're still in the club.
Yeah, I wanted to ask about this. Like, how authentic is this? Is this a sort of realistic part of the evening? Have you experienced this stage?
Not while still at the club. Often by the time you've got home, or on the way home.
I wonder if the implication is it's different in Wales. Maybe if it's in Barry, it's just like a smaller venue.
I just think logistically they couldn't think of a place where all the hens could stay. Like, Pam and Mick's house is quite big for the lads. But over at Gwen's, there isn't room for everyone. So the girls have to have this come down, so to speak, all together.
Yeah, fair enough, that makes sense. My prevailing feeling, you'll be unsurprised to learn, was, oh God, I can't stand Stacey.
Yes, I can imagine that was exactly what you thought.
She's just whinging and complaining and trying to be like, I know what you're all thinking. It's the 6th engagement and blah, 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 blah. Woe is me, pity party.
And then Nessa, one of my favourite lines, comes along to offer support and condolences. And she says, and I quote, "Oh, Stace, don't get me wrong, but to be honest, at the end of the day, when all's said and done, do you know what I mean?"
And then the whole group go, yeah.
Yeah. I mean, that makes no sense. And they all get it.
Yep.
She's just like, yeah, it is what it is, basically.
So we cut to the next morning. Everyone, well, a few of the lads at the Shipman house around the breakfast table. And we learn that Fingers' name is actually Craig.
I know, what a nickname. How'd you get from Craig to Fingers?
Well, to be fair, Pam asked the same thing, and Fingers says, don't ask, with a bit of a knowing look.
Oh, really? I missed that as well.
Were you watching this episode?
To be honest, when all's said and done, I was writing down that quote during this scene.
Oh, yeah, I did think you were furiously scribbling. We cut back to Gwen's house. Nessa and Stacey hung over on the sofas watching what I'm sure was a very popular daytime telly.
I was surprised at how honest Stacey was being with Gwen, because she starts telling her about the stripper, and Bryn walks in and Gwen says, "Oh, you can tell me later." And I thought, oh, I wouldn't tell my mum.
No, but Gwen has quite a relaxed, chill attitude with Stacey, doesn't she?
Yeah, and it is nice to see. It's just, as someone that didn't experience that, it's a bit, I don't know.
Strange?
Yeah, strange. Yeah, it's just unusual to see. And it's hard to sort of put myself in that position. So it lands differently, I think.
Yeah, I don't think I've talked to my dad about my stag do, and my stag do was like the most sedate thing ever.
Yeah, so they just have this really honest relationship, I think.
They really do, in a way that, like we said, can be quite unidentifiable if you're not that open with your parents, which a lot of people aren't.
Yes, but maybe it shows something that quite a lot of people would like to have, something aspirational.
Yeah, and it's interesting because it sort of contrasts with Gavin, because Gavin wasn't revealing anything to his parents, not that we saw at any rate.
But he probably would with Mick, because we've seen the two of them have, like, moments of sharing before.
Well, that's true. It would have been interesting to see that, but we don't.
No.
What we do get is Bryn arriving at the very moment Stacey starts to talk about where the whipped cream went on the stripper.
Yes, and everyone freezes when Bryn comes into the room.
And he starts off by telling the girls that they look terrible. And then he starts being quite playful by saying, "Oh, I heard that a group of schoolgirls caused terror and mayhem." But then there's a pivot, and he starts getting really serious and talking about an actual news story.
Yeah, because we didn't mention that Stacey and her crew get dressed up as schoolgirls to go clubbing.
Oh yeah, that is an important bit of context.
Yeah.
It's like when we forget about the dead body in Death in Paradise.
Yeah, so Bryn is referencing Stacey and her hens causing havoc in Cardiff. But then, like you say, he completely pivots.
And then when he finishes talking, there's just a brief moment of silence. And then Gwen just goes, "Right, cup of tea, Bryn." There is a woman that has experienced having to move him on very quickly.
Yeah, so then he goes on quite the ramble, culminating in him telling them that he's bought a brand new suit special for the stag do.
Yeah, he said it was something, and I didn't quite catch what it was.
Fawn it is. He's referring to the colour.
Oh, is that what it is?
Yeah.
I thought he might have said foreign it is.
No.
Like he's got himself an Italian suit.
I am pretty sure that he is talking about the colour, but I don't actually remember what colour the suit was.
But we end the scene with him going, "So, when is it?"
Oh, God,
Bam!
yeah.
Cut to Gavin in the car with Stacey basically forcing him to have another stag do.
Yeah, she is pleading with him. She says Bryn is so excited, he'd be so gutted to miss it.
And of course, Stacey gets her way.
And rightly so, because this is not about her, this is about Bryn, and shame on Smithy for not inviting Bryn.
I feel like if they'd known each other better, he absolutely would have invited him.
Oh yeah, 100%, I do agree with that.
So we see Gavin arrive at Stacey's house, I suppose Gwen's house, and Bryn digs straight into the situation and sort of starts telling Gavin that he thinks his friends are terrible.
Yeah, and we can clearly infer from Bryn's reaction here that Stacey, in this gap, has told Bryn that Smithy hasn't organised him a stag do and that he isn't having one. And so Bryn has come up with this plan so that when Gavin walks into the house, he's straight on it with, "Don't worry, we're going down the Dolphin."
Gavin looking stony-faced the whole time that Bryn is explaining all of this to him, and Stacey at least has the decency to look a bit sheepish.
Yeah, I think they all do, to be fair, because Nessa's there as well and she is avoiding eye contact.
And we cut to Smithy asleep in his car.
This is another Smithy's eyes are closed conversation while he's on the phone to Gavin.
You get to see Smithy realising what's going on in real time, but only from his side of the conversation.
Yeah, I quite like it when they do this because there is that element of comedy where you just know what the other person is saying and how they're saying it.
And it ends with him going, "Absolutely not, definitely not." Cut to Gavin going, "He's on his way."
Yeah. Classic, and it's brilliant.
That is a classic Gavin and Stacey hard cut moment.
Yes, and so we're back at Gwen's house, and yeah, Gavin said he's on his way, and then Nessa says, "Oh, while you're down the Dolphin, say hi to Carl for me."
I don't know who Carl is.
And she's like, "He's got a tattoo that says, 'I'm Carl,' on his chin."
Delightful. I enjoy that Gavin was like, "Might even be a laugh." Nope. It's not going to be a laugh. Bless you, Gavin. You don't know what's coming.
Yeah, and then we get Jason arriving. Now, this is the first time that we meet Jason, and he has a very warm welcome. Nessa goes, all right, Jace, you still gay?
I also enjoy that Gwen offers him an omelette. Because,
Yes.
of course, and he's like, have you tried this woman's omelette? It's best in South Wales. And Gavin's like, I've had one or two, yeah.
Yeah.
But then Bryn and Jason encounter each other, and you'd expect this to be a nice, warm continuation of the family reunion.
Yes.
Not so much.
No. Bryn has gone home, and he's arrived back, and there is silence. Like a very loud silence.
Yeah, like a real weight drops on the conversation.
Yeah, and then everyone is avoiding everyone's gaze. They're all looking away, looking down, looking around, anything to avoid what is going on in this room.
And then we just cut to later on, and there's no explanation of it whatsoever at that point. And you've just got Stacey and Jason talking wedding plans. And I love that they drop in there, just in passing, when he asks about, oh, and what are you doing for food? And Stacey says, oh, well, Gavin's mum's vegetarian, so we're making some special quiches.
Yeah, that was a nice touch.
Just so, offhand, just there, just in passing. But it's just funny when you notice it.
Absolutely. And then we see Gwen and Bryn having quite harsh words, and they're referencing a fishing trip. And this becomes a big thing within Gavin and Stacey and within the world. We never do find out what happened on this fishing trip, and Bryn is absolutely refusing to tell Gwen anything that happened.
But he does concede that he will be civil.
Yes, he says he'll be polite and civil.
And then we sort of cut back to the sitting room.
Yeah.
With Jason and Stacey talking more about the wedding.
Yes, oh, this bit's funny.
The glorious callback too.
The horses, because she's showing Jason the wedding book of everything they've got planned, and he spots the Bentley, the cars that they've hired, and he goes, oh, they look lovely. And she goes, yeah, we wanted horses, but they totally ran out.
He's like, well, really?
Yeah.
And Gavin leans in and goes, yeah, I was gutted.
Yeah.
Love it. And then we get an interesting little bit where Bryn comes in and sort of very formally acknowledges that it was very good of Jason to come back and support his sister.
Yes, because he's arrived early for the wedding.
And I guess things get a bit worse for Jason from there, right?
Yes, and I think this bit is actually really, really interesting. Because this is the time when Jason is assuming that he is walking Stacey down the aisle and then giving her away.
Because that's what Gwen wants.
Yes, Stacey acknowledges that that's what Gwen wants, but she says, I'm sorry, but I want Bryn, basically. And Anessa says, bit of a kick in the teeth for you, that, Jace? One of my favourite lines of the whole show.
It never ceases to crack you up, does it?
I know, it's just... I mean, the thing is, situations like this happen all the time when things are awkward, you don't know what to say, and Nessa just calls it out. And she says the quiet thing.
Just kicking him when he's down.
Yeah, but what I like about this whole thing, for me, is that it provides a blueprint for viewers who are engaging in big events and have difficult conversations to have with people. There's this assumption on Jason's part and Gwen's part that he's going to walk her down the aisle and give her away. And she has to have this really difficult conversation with him that's not what she wants. And I think she does it really well.
Oh, okay, because I'd written down that it was a bit callous of her to do it in front of everyone like that, just obliterating him. So maybe my call was a bit wrong.
Well, she could see that the conversation was going that way. She could hear that the assumptions were being voiced. She stopped it. She didn't let it go any further. She didn't embarrass him by saying, actually, I need to talk to you about that. Can you come with me? She didn't put him away. She did it there and then. She used some very considerate language. She acknowledged his role. And then she explained why she would actually prefer Uncle Bryn.
Yeah, I don't know. My perspective on it it felt like she was a bit tone deaf with him. That was just my perspective.
So I thought this was just really well done. And I thought it provided the viewers with a way of having conversations like that in their own lives. I think the tendency is to just ignore the problem and it will go away, where Stacey brings it into the open.
The important thing is that Nessa was entirely right. It was a bit of a kick in the teeth for Jace.
Yes, there is that, yeah.
So we cut to the main event, the big party, Stag Do 2.0.
At the Dolphin.
The Brinnening. And it's just, they really drive home. It's quiet and empty and dull.
Yes, and for some reason they're wearing reindeer ears.
Because Bryn.
Yeah, maybe because it's a stag do, but...
That's right.
It's just, like, you don't need them. You just don't need them. Just go for a quiet drink down the pub.
Oh, it's definitely a quiet drink down the pub.
But I thought, because Smithy arrives, and I thought this was a lovely redemption for Smithy after his complete tantrum the night before at the other stag do.
I mean, he's still pissy, isn't he? He tells Gavin not to talk to him.
Yeah.
So...
And he comes in and he's like, I've just seen a bloke with a tattoo on his chin.
And Gavin goes, yeah, that'll be great.
Yeah.
Oh, Carl.
Yeah, that'll be Carl.
Yeah. What are the ashtrays on the table in the pub?
I know, they're so dirty and yucky and huge.
And there.
And present.
Yeah, that dates it, doesn't
Yeah.
it? Crikey. And then obviously Bryn gives Smithy a right dressing down for telling Gavin he doesn't need a stag do.
Yes. Yeah, and to be fair, Smithy takes this very well.
Until Bryn walks off and then he gets really pissy with Gavin.
I think the important thing is that he held it together for Bryn.
Yeah, I love it. I love the, now stick these on, my lad.
Referring to those reindeer ears.
And then we cut to slightly later and they're playing Shag, Marry, Cruise.
And Bryn is well into it.
I know, right? He's really analysing it.
Yeah, he puts a lot of thought into his answers.
One thing we didn't touch on was that Gavin started to ask Bryn about the fishing trip just as Smithy arrived.
That was delightfully awkward.
Yeah, because a long silence, everyone being really quiet, and then Gavin starts to ask about it.
And that shows a level of tone deafness on Gavin's part, doesn't it? Because that was clearly too awkward to bring up again.
Yes, thank goodness. And once they've done a bit of the Shag, Marry, Cruise, we cut to even later, and boy, are they drunk.
Yeah, and they're having a great time. I thought this was lovely to see.
Bryn's got a hell of a laugh on him. And we get another classic Bryn moment, or sort of flow, where he starts talking about like something quite joyous and quite fun, you know, likening Smithy to one of his friends, and then it suddenly turns and he's like, he's dead now. Just that moment where everyone goes, ugh.
That complete tonal shift.
Yeah, it brings everything crashing back down to earth with a bump.
Yeah, it happens in a moment.
Thank goodness Ahmed shows up.
Yes, Ahmed is so pleased to see Bryn.
Yes, and in a questionable move, Bryn invites him to join them.
Yes, yeah.
But they really establish that he moved to Swindon, but is back visiting his mum who's had her appendix out. And I love the banality that this keeps coming up. He has to be explained several times to different people.
Yeah, well, it forms part of the punchline, doesn't it, between Gavin and Stacey a bit later on.
Yeah, this is how Gavin learns of the previous engagements.
Yes, because as soon as Ahmed learns that Gavin is Stacey's fiancé, he's like, oh gosh, what are you, number 6? I was number 4, and he works through naming every single fiancé.
At least you got to set a date. Most didn't get that far.
Yes, but that was something we were talking about last episode, actually, was how far did the other engagements get? And it seems like not very far at all.
Yeah, I don't know if that makes it better or worse.
Well, also, earlier in this episode, Stacey refers to herself as only really being a child before, not really knowing what love is. And this is sort of confirmed at this point by Ahmed saying they didn't get very far. It was really just something that they said to each other and didn't really progress it. And
I do feel sorry for Ahmed because he suddenly realises that Gavin had no idea and he's kind of dropped that in on him.
Yes, yeah.
And yeah, like Gavin's turning around going, no, I didn't know, and turns to Bryn and goes, because no one told me.
Yeah, and Bryn says, I've written this down as well. Don't think of this as some sort of conspiracy. Stacey just thought it was best that we kept it from you.
Does that make him feel better, do you think?
No, it doesn't, and he storms off.
Rightly so. He is angry. But also what this shows is that this whole thing, Stacey has made everyone complicit. And so you've got this really difficult situation where not only does Gavin feel betrayed by Stacey, but by everyone.
Yeah.
And I love that we get that sort of live reaction of Smithy walking in the midst of it going, what's going on? She's been what? Who's he?
Yeah. Yeah, it's very good comedy here.
So we cut to Gavin knocking on Gwen's house, his door, and Stacey answering the door. And she's like, oh, hey.
Yes, and Gavin is not happy, and he has it out with her.
And she gets quite tetchy back with him.
Yeah, and then what I thought was funny was, because Gavin says that he ran into one of her ex-fiancés, and she goes, which one? And then she lists them all.
And she doesn't think it'll be Ahmed because he'd moved to Swindon.
Yeah, and then Gavin explains what he's doing back here.
So it is quite funny.
Yes.
But it's a very serious thing, and Gavin's talking about, he's sort of verbally processing all of it, to the point where Stacey gets very arsey with him back and very upset and sort of going, oh, you're just talking rubbish, you're going to throw this all away because of things I did before we even met.
Which is an equally valid point.
It is, but I feel like now wasn't the time to try and take the moral high ground.
Yeah, Gavin is feeling betrayed, and his reaction, I think, is understandable.
Yeah, and we end the episode with him sort of storming off down the road and Stacey shouting his name after him.
Yeah, and that's how we end.
Tell me tomorrow, la 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 la.
Okay, you've either got to see it through or not bother.
No, I did my own way. And so we end the episode, and we're at credits, as I ably demonstrated with my fabulous rendition. So what did you make of the episode?
I loved it. I wasn't overly sold on episode 4. Episode 5 for me has completely made up for that.
Oh, well, that's fantastic. I really enjoyed it too.
Yeah, I thought it was really, really funny.
It's a really core episode because Stacey gets her comeuppance. We get to see a lot of Hendu instead of we get a lot of characters, and we get payoffs for jokes. We get sort of the continuation of jokes.
Yeah, and I've made a note that you do really get a bit of everything. There was some love and care. We saw that through Pam and Mick and them prepping some of the first stag do for Gavin. And we see Smithy's care and love for Gavin by going for that second one.
Yep.
And Nessa and Stacey are sort of supporting each other at times as well. So I thought that was lovely. I think we get some guidance and some of those blueprints for life from the episode. There's humour and there's drama. I think this was a really, really solid episode.
Yeah, absolutely. It had a bit of everything, and I knew you'd love it because of the duet from Mick and Pam right at the beginning. That sold it for you. So what would you rate it?
Right. I have given this 10 out of 10.
10 what out of 10?
Just 10 out of 10. Pure and simple.
10...
At the end of the day, when all's said and done, that's all you need.
10 Nessa platitudes out of 10.
No, it's just 10 out of 10.
Okay. Oh, that is a very high score. So
Yes.
You're saying this is the perfect Gavin and Stacey episode?
Yes. What have you given it?
I have given it 7 ex-fiancés out of 7.
Have you really?
Yes.
Oh my gosh.
It was, I described last episode as a banger. This was a double banger with chips. Well, it was 7 ex-fiancés out of 7.
What? That's good. I can't really get better than ex-fiancés either.
You see, I thought you were going to get annoyed because there weren't 7 ex-fiancés.
Well, there weren't. That is a bit annoying. Because there's only 5 ex-fiancés.
It makes me happy to know it slightly annoys you.
Right. What else could you have done then if not ex-fiancés?
7...
Ahmed's?
No. 7 reindeer antlers out of 7.
Yeah, but there's only 3.
7 fishing trips out of 7.
There's only 1.
I mean, if I have to get numerically, this is going to be challenging.
All right, I see your point.
7 ex-wives out of 7?
No! 7 lads out of 7.
No. It's 7 ex-fiancés out of 7. I've said this a lot of times now, and I think it's time that we end the episode.
Yeah,
so...
full stars from us. Full marks?
Full marks.
Full marks.
No, you don't rate them out of stars. I don't rate them out of stars. There's no stars. Where did they come from? You just pulled them out of your ass.
5 stars out of 5. Wait.
Full
marks.
We cannot insert a third ranking system. That's all, folks.
If you have the time, we would really appreciate it if you could rate and review our podcast. Thank you for listening. Bye.
Toodles.